Lee Cantor here, another episode of Richmond Business Radio, and this is going to be a good one. Today we have with us Shawn Nicholson with SMNSquare. Welcome, Shawn.
Hi, Lee. How are you today?
I am doing great. I'm excited to learn what you're up to. Tell us a little bit about SMNSquare. How you serving folks?
Well, SMNSquare is, our tagline is we provide the building blocks to your success and sustainability. And we are really interested in helping businesses, startups, individuals that are redefining their businesses and understanding what their pain points are, and then devising a strategy that we can help assist them to further their business.
Now, do you kind of have a sweet spot, a specialty area where you work in certain industries, or is it kind of industry agnostic, your work?
It's really industry agnostic. I mean, we go from the baker all the way to the candlestick maker.
And how'd you get into this line of work?
Well, I've been an entrepreneur now since 1998, and we've learned a lot. We've been successful, I feel, throughout the time that we've served the community in our businesses. And we now want to just give back to other businesses and help them not to have to come or go through the same hurdles that we had to.
Now,
really providing information for them.
So now, walk me through what an engagement looks like. Are these people kind of in a crisis mode, or are they trying to get to the next level? Like, what is the kind of the pain they're going through where calling SMNSquare is the right solution?
Well, it's both and I'll say it this way: our mission really is to, and this is the way that we look at it, is to help individuals obtain economic independence. And I have a strategy that I use called AED, and that's really assisting businesses, encouraging entrepreneurs, and developing ecosystem builders. And I know that's a mouthful, but what that does is I take the approach of an AED, automatic external defibrillator, right? And we shock that business back into life if it needs shocking back into life, or we provide solutions to be able to help assist the vision of that business owner.
Now, do you find that business owners kind of self-sabotage sometimes, or is it sometimes just lack of knowledge? They don't understand what's possible?
Great question. And again, it's both and. Sometimes they inadvertently sabotage the business by not knowing. And then there's some that they're really on there. They're out there. They did everything they needed to do to make it work. But now they need a lifeline because something has come and has caused them to wonder, well, how do I remain sustainable in this time? And COVID is a perfect example of that.
Can you talk about how maybe you've helped some folks through COVID, or maybe they came to you during this crisis and you were able to help them kind of manage through it?
Well, absolutely. And I think that the teacher is the best student, because we had to do the same thing. We had to pivot very hard to stay relevant. Earlier on, before COVID, I had co-working spaces, a place that we invite people to come in, a place that now we have executive offices and we're doing all this training. But when COVID came, we had to put distance in between there. So we had to come up with a virtual platform, a virtual model to be able to do the exact same thing we would have been doing if we were in person. So that's an example of how we've helped. There's been a couple of companies that we've assist to try to now come up with another solution. What they were doing initially was meeting people every day. People were walking through their doors, but now they can't open up to the public. So we had to come up with strategies that they can still use online, use marketing strategies, using social media platforms, using live Facebook and other platforms that are out there to get their word out for their business.
Yeah, this has been definitely a chaotic, tricky time for a lot of folks out there. There's a lot of people in pain, and they do need kind of a Sherpa to help guide them through some of these challenges. And it's great that you're there in the community looking out for them.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So now, when you're working with a new client and they come to you and they say, I'm interested, maybe they've never had coaching before, maybe they've never had training before. Can you kind of walk us through what it's like maybe that first conversation to start an engagement?
Absolutely. We do what's called a discovery meeting. And I have a assessment. We have proprietary assessments that we send out based on industry and individuals. So if it's a person that is trying to move to the next level within a company, we have an assessment for them. If it's someone that's a business owner that's trying to do a startup, or they're trying to get out of their business, whatever the case may be, we have an assessment that we send to them. Those assessments ask about 7 to 10 questions to learn what they're going through. After we get that assessment back, we're able to sit down at the table, if you will, and understand where their pain points are. Now, I have subject matter experts that I work with in all industries that we can pull into this one room, if you will, to come up with a plan that we can present back to that individual that did the assessment. So it's kind of like it's not a one size fit all, but it's a tailored process.
Because I would imagine some folks, maybe they have problems from a strategic standpoint that maybe they got to be clear on what their strategy is for success.
Yes.
And then other people might have tactical problems where, it's kind of the nuts and the bolts of how they go about their day-to-day business.
Absolutely. I approach it with, in leadership, we learn a phrase called situational leadership. And that's basically understanding how the individual that you are working with thinks. And some of them they can just give instructions to and they'll go. Some of them you have to kind of hover over them a little bit to kind of see where they're going to maneuver and make sure that they do what they're supposed to do. I approach the business world the same way. We have people that have done business for years, but things that they've done may not be relevant today. You have people that have been in business for, like, say, 40 years, and what worked for them 40 years ago is not going to work right now. Now, the principles and the foundation that it may still be there, but they have to adapt with the times. So we're able to pick all those things out and really get to the root of the situation, and that's the passion that the individual have for that business. And once we understand that, we're able to devise a plan or strategize a plan that will help them.
Now, do you find, you mentioned leadership and leadership,
Yes, sir.
maybe training a little bit. Are leaders, is that something that anybody can be a leader if they're trained properly? Or do you think that some people just are inherently more kind of geared towards being a leader?
That's an age-old question. Are leaders born or are they developed, right? I seem to think that it's both. I mean, I think we do have natural born leaders, but they're different types of leaders. But I also think that leadership can be taught. Now, one mistake that I feel individuals make is managing and leading are two different things. So a leader, in my opinion, would be one that is a visionary. I can see the whole forest, but there's certain managers that may not be able to see the whole forest, but they can see the tree that is in front of them, and they do a great job in doing that. Well, with leadership, you need more of that because you have to adapt. You have to have what we call EQ, emotional intelligence. You have to make sure that you're communicating properly to whomever it is that you're leading. And if you're not careful, you can develop bad habits in leadership as well. So we're able to help you identify those habits and then, really become a good leader.
So what are some symptoms of maybe some bad leadership habits that are happening in a company?
Oh, wow. Lack of empathy. Not understanding the personnel or the direct reports that you have, not being able to communicate properly to the individuals. I do a lot of work along the trauma informed care, and which use a model from the ACE, which is adult childhood experiences, and working with childhood experiences and wondering what happened to the person as opposed to figuring out why are they doing what they're doing. And when we do this, we can kind of take an approach that I'm listening to you to understand where you're coming from. That makes a good leader. Not trying to finish the sentence, not trying to, assume that it's one way when it's actually something else that's driving that.
Now, how much of your work is spent on kind of clarity of message and communication skills? Because that sounds like that could be at the heart of a lot of problems.
It is at the heart of a lot of problems, and what we try to do is really identify that through those pain points. Because with the questions that we ask in our assessments, we can pretty much ascertain where we need to go with that. After we do the assessment and we kind of figure out where the problem is, we then have an initial call with that individual to find out exactly, to explain to them what the situation is and get feedback from them. A lot of times, individuals know where their is, they just don't know how to fix it.
And that's where somebody like you can come in and give them
And
kind of a
that's where we
roadmap.
come in. Exactly. We give that roadmap, or I like to look at it as building blocks.
Now, in your work, is this something you come in to solve a problem and then you're out? Or is this something that you come in there, maybe you start with one problem and they're like, hey, this is going pretty good. We got this other problem over here. And then all of a sudden you're there for
Yeah.
a decent amount of time.
Yeah, great question. It could be both. We obviously want to build a relationship with them. We don't want it to be a one and done. We want to establish a certain camaraderie with them that we can build their team to accomplish the things that they want to do. One situation that we go into may be good, but then there's other stuff that were byproducts of the situation that we fix. So if we're still around, we're able to identify those and help them in that situation.
And then in that case, as long as you're providing an ROI, they're going to keep you as long as it makes sense, right?
And that is the whole goal. I mean, we come into any type of business, any facility, or even a leader life with strategy, innovation, and vision. Those are our three core values, if you will, or pillars that we deal with that we can help that. So because we want them to be successful and sustainable.
Right. And you want to be able to kind of do the work that you've set up without you necessarily being there.
Exactly. Yeah. Once we give the roadmap, as you mentioned, or the building blocks, they can now take that, and it's like reading a book. Just flipping through the pages that what we've put in place for them to do.
Now, can you share a story, maybe one of the most rewarding kind of success stories that you've had in your career, that maybe you took somebody to the next level or you were able to help them out of a tough spot?
Yeah, that'd be great. So, in the middle part of 2018, I was doing some work in one of the areas outside of Richmond, Virginia, and it was around workforce development. Well, the mayor of the city, the deputy city manager saw the things that we were doing on a local or a small scale, and they wanted me to come in and help them with a larger scale, which was 9 localities within the state. So we came in and unraveled all the things that weren't working. We set up an infrastructure through a model that we had that is proprietary, that we were able to come and really assess the problem and why they weren't developing and doing the things that they wanted to do. And within, I'll say maybe 12 months, 16 months, we turned that whole region around. And we had people getting jobs. We had people getting training. We had people going to school and learning more. And it was just a great experience. And I believe that was because of the leadership that we have, that we were able to infuse and ignite the energy around everyone else, and they just caught on. And now, even now, they're still moving and excelling, even within COVID.
And that's one of those situations. If you do what you do well, the ripple effect and the impact you make goes well beyond the people in the room or the people you're working with. It can go towards their family. It can go towards their community. It really can make a big difference.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I love what I do. One thing, Lee, that I take the word passion and I break it up and I say it's pass I on. So everything that is in me, when I go to a company, when I go to a business or individual, I give them everything I have. I don't leave anything.
Good stuff. Well, if there's somebody out there that wants to learn more, maybe get a hold of you or somebody on your team and maybe up their leadership game, or solve some problems that they might have organizationally, what's the website for you guys?
Our website is SMNSquare.com. SMNSquare.com. And we're on all the social media platforms with SMN Square as well.
Well, Shawn, congratulations on all the success, and thank you for doing what you do. We really appreciate it. You're doing important work.
Thank you, Lee. I appreciate the opportunity to come and share that work.
All right, this is Lee Cantor. We will see you all next time on Richmond Business Radio.